topic, I'm going to be talking about Mercury retrograde. It's not going to be a long video. I just want to explain what Mercury retrograde is according to how I understand it as a student of astrology. And I thought maybe there'll be someone who would like to know and understand it from a perspective of someone who is studying astrology. Okay, so now let's get into the video. I have a few notes over here just explaining what Mercury retrograde is. Mercury retrograde, from what I understand, is when the planet Mercury stops in the sky to go back, meaning that it revises, it redos, it reviews, it retrospects. So when a planet does that, I believe that's what we people on Earth should be doing as well. So you can't be in front of the planet. You can't just move when the planet, especially a planet like Mercury, which is a planet of communications, a planet of electronics, a planet of mechanics. It's a planet that makes the world go around. So when that planet decides to stop and rest, I think we as people should stop and rest as well. Especially people that are ruled by Gemini, by Mercury, I mean, the Geminis and the Virgos. Try and rest a bit because your mind is slower at the moment, because we know that those people that are ruled by Mercury are quick thinkers. Maybe they even realize that sometimes it's like, my mind is slow, I'm slow to think, or I'm slow to connect things. Maybe it's because Mercury is retrograde at that time. So what I would advise just a layperson who doesn't know what Mercury retrograde is, when you hear that it's a Mercury retrograde, do not ever think of signing a contract, starting something new, maybe buying a phone, buying a car, buying a house, or communicating something very important to people, because it means that you're going to go back. When Mercury finally gets out of its rest and becomes direct and moves forward in the skies, it means that you're going to go back to whatever it is that you have committed to, that you have agreed to. So I would rather, when it's Mercury retrograde, stay away from things like that. And I know it's very tempting because now we are in December. And December is retail therapy month. People are planning to buy their big screen TVs, their huge smartphones. This is not the December to do that, or else you are going to cry in January, especially with this Black Friday sale and ton. Girl, I wouldn't do that. I would buy electronics and all those things, cars, mechanics, all those things. I would buy them at the end of January just to be safe. Because with Mercury, it goes retrograde for 3.5 weeks. But remember, there's a shadow period. There's something called the shadow period. It happens maybe 10 days before and 10 days after the retrograde. So stay away from committing or buying anything that has to do with Mercury on those days. It can take a month and then you are done, and then we have maybe another 3 months to go through Mercury retrograde. All the planets in the skies, they go through retrogrades at certain times in the year, and they all affect us, especially personal planets like Mercury, like Mars, like Venus. When those planets, Saturn, when those planets, and Uranus, when those planets go retrograde, we as people on Earth, we need to rest, we need to retrospect, we need to redo, review, and revise. So I wouldn't sign a contract when Mercury is retrograde. It's December. People are going to be changing their plans. People that committed to go with you to that party, that one by the river, or the boat ride, or whatever it is that you wanted to go to, something is not going to go well. Something is going to be all over the place because Mercury rules things like that. So when it is resting and making up its mind, those things, there's nothing to rule them. So they go haywire. So I would advise, if I was you, my baby, girl, guy, stay away from the shops. Stay away from retail therapy until the end of January. That's how I understand what Mercury retrograde is, because it has happened to me before. I was like, no, it's actually the shadow. It's not an actual Mercury retrograde. So I'll buy a TV, I will buy a fridge. 2 months later, I didn't have those things because of the complications of Mercury retrograde. So it's going, Mercury right now, it's moving, but it's moving very slow. It's going to stop at 8 degrees of Capricorn to go back to 22 degrees of Sagittarius. So in your zodiac cycle, Mercury will move, planets move anti-clockwise. So now when it moves from Sagittarius, it goes into Capricorn, but then it's going to move again from Capricorn and goes into Sagittarius, meaning that it's going through all those topics from Capricorn to Sagittarius, and it stops at Sagittarius and then it moves forward again, going to Capricorn. So give it time. I know some of us are very impatient, but that's how the universe works. And I hope that this has shed a light into what Mercury retrograde is and how you can avoid the pitfalls of Mercury retrograde. I've made mistakes, and I wouldn't want any of you that is watching this video to make the same mistakes that I have done before. And I'm wishing you a very well rested time with Mercury retrograde, because we don't want to be crying in January, guys, you know. But I hope that you enjoyed this video, and if you've came you are to the last part of this video, thank you so much. You've watched up until this far. Thank you so much, and I hope that you will give it a thumbs up if you're happy with what I have said, and you will subscribe if you haven't subscribed, and share it with someone who might find this information useful. And see you in my next video. Love you always.